Jeff, let me ask you this. And
okay,
this
Andy.
is something that I was thinking about yesterday. I thought about it again this morning. What the position of Kevin Stefanski right now? Because we sit here all the time, and we're I think both you and I.
He's standing.
No, I think he's sitting right now. I think he's at his desk.
I like
that. I just want you to know. We can debate that if you want to. Kevin Stefanski, you better sitter or stander? Next, 216-474-0092. Jeff, my question about this, though, is Kevin's, we have fans that call up and they can't stand Kevin. They despise him. They don't like anything he's doing. They don't feel like he's this or that. And that's the nature of the job. Once they say you're the head coach, someone's not going to like you for some reason, and it has nothing to do with you personally. They just don't like you. I think for the majority of Browns fans, they're kind of tolerant of what's going on. They still believe that Kevin has the opportunity to, and I think that they think he's a good offensive mind. He's done good things while he's been here. I mean, Coach of the Year, whatever. Even if you think that doesn't mean anything, it does. And how Kevin has kind of led this team over the last couple years. I still think great coaches get fired all the time. I think good coaches get fired all the time, and bad coaches get fired all the time. I don't know where when we look back at Kevin when it's all said and done, I don't know how we're going to look back at it. If he wins a Super Bowl, he will have a statue at Public Square. Just saying, especially if he makes it one great call in one big playoff game, and it comes back and they're like, Kevin called that play, and he saw it, and that's why. So, you're always a victim of the moment. But we've seen some things that are a little different about the strategy, and I don't know if it's all Kevin, but, they went live in practice, and they were tackling to the ground in practice.
Live.
Something we haven't seen since Kevin got here. They changed some things up. They went to the Greenbrier. Okay, I don't know if that's Kevin or if that's Andrew or if that's groupthink or whatever it is. They changed that. We're going to see the starters in this last game. Who knows how long they're going to play, but he's also been reluctant to play guys he thinks are going to be in the starting 22 week one of the season. That's changed. So there are things that have changed. Now, I don't know if this is out of necessity because they were a 3-win team last year.
Yeah, they also changed their win total from 11 to 3.
Yeah. And so my question is are we looking at a different Kevin Stefanski right now? And then we'll get to the pressure of it. But I do want your thoughts on where you stand on Kevin Stefanski this morning. 216-474-0092. We start with you, Jeff Phelps.
Why, thank you, Andy. I think Kevin's a good coach. I have for some time. That said, if they win 3 or 4 games, I can't imagine that he'd be back. And I would say the same with Andrew Berry. And it's only because of this. Coaches don't survive back-to-back 3-win seasons in the National Football League. I mean, it's pretty simple to me. And if he does, then boy, did the organization just give everybody a mulligan for the Deshaun Watson decision. I think it's that simple. I can't imagine the front office, I can't imagine the coaching staff surviving if they win 3 or 4 games. But if they do, it's a big mulligan on Deshaun Watson. But I don't think they'll win 3 or 4 games. I think they'll do better than that.
There seems to be this feeling that the Browns are going to be better than I think Vegas thinks.
Maybe.
And it's just recently. Because everything, people, they laugh at the organization. They don't think they're going anywhere. They don't laugh at Myles Garrett. And maybe it's just fans that are laughing. And maybe I shouldn't say they all do. But I think Kevin's changed, and I don't know if it's for...
Well, he's got to evolve.
Yeah, evolve. But I think the philosophy seems a little different. I think there's a little bit more intensity right now. I think he's tried to project that on his players.
It was the word from the beginning of camp because Joe Bitonio came out and used the word, competitive?
Yeah.
Or some variation 3 or 4 times the first time he spoke this year. Was at the golf outing.
Yeah, do you think, though, that they came in soft last year, that they kind of thought that, hey, we were a good team the year before, and we can do this again, and we know we can, and then all of a sudden... And then I think the other part of it was you were like, okay, we finally have, this is a year ago, we finally have Deshaun Watson. He's in the spot that we want him to. He appears to be healthy, and this is what we paid for because this is the Deshaun Watson we're going to see for 17 games. And I think there was a sense of confidence in the organization because they thought that was coming. So much so that they said, you know what, we don't even need Joe Flacco here. We're going to say,
well, they
see you
brought
later.
Joe Flacco in, but his name was Jameis.
So, but why? Why wouldn't you have just kept Joe Flacco then? What would the difference have been? Unless Joe wanted to start.
Might have thought Jameis was a better fit with the style of offense they wanted to run last year.
Okay, I'll buy into that. But the other part of it is, too, if I was Joe Flacco, I'd want the opportunity to start, and he got that in Indianapolis. He had the opportunity to start in Indianapolis, and I don't know that he would have had that
and
here.
Then stepped in and then lost that gig.
His opportunity to start was better in Indianapolis than it was here, especially knowing how much money Deshaun was making.
Agree with that, but I don't think it was a good opportunity either spot.
You said something interesting, and Dan, I think you disagree because we had this conversation before about, I want to say honeymoon period. What did you say about getting a pass on the season? You just said that 2 seconds ago about, does Kevin Stefanski, could Kevin Stefanski get a pass regardless of record?
It's a mulligan.
Yeah, a mulligan.
A mulligan on Deshaun Watson. If this regime survives another season like they had last year, it's just a franchise-wide mulligan on Deshaun Watson.
Dan, do you agree on that or no? Does Kevin have to win this year to be back?
Boy, framing it that way is rougher.
Does Kevin have to win 3 games to be back?
There you go. Now we're talking.
All right.
Yes. I mean, I think I have a feeling if you're 3 to 4 wins and this offense looks better and it looks a little more cohesive and your defense doesn't roll over like it kind of did last year, even though they don't want to hear that, like if it all looks it all looks better and it looks like it's heading the right direction, then yes, I think Kevin Stefanski and all of them have a mulligan.
So it just has to be going in the right direction, though. It doesn't. Wins don't matter. It just has to be going in the right direction.
Right. I mean, they have done nothing that screams desperation. They have done nothing this offseason that has screamed desperation to win. If they were desperate to win, they would have been in the Russell Wilson sweepstakes. If they were desperate to win, they would have brought in another one of those veteran quarterbacks who was bouncing around at the tail end of their career. They would have traded for Kirk Cousins. They would have made whatever work have to work if they were desperate to win. Nothing Andrew Berry or Kevin Stefanski has done has reeked of desperation.
That is correct.
I agree. We haven't seen desperation, so I don't know if the pressure is on him to win. And then when you get into the quarterback situation, I think this is the way we all kind of saw it was going to play out, with the exception of Pickett. Pickett's the only kind of a curveball that I think got thrown into the equation for the way things were going to play out. I do think, and you thought this too, that early on, because Pickett was the first guy they brought in, that Pickett was going to have the best opportunity to start game one. And as you said, in Indianapolis, they name a starter for the entire season. Mm-hmm. In Cleveland, Joe Flacco's been named the starter for game one.
Yep.
So I'll be honest, I kind of like the attitude the team has right now. And I like the fact that he has instilled a little bit more intensity into this preseason that we've seen. Now, I know you want to sit here and debate the quarterbacks and what's going on with the quarterbacks, but I think the picture is much bigger than that. And, we've seen some differences. We talked about going live, and we've talked about the ability to use the starters here in the last preseason game. Some things that maybe he's wanted to do, although sometimes you never know. Is it him or is it the front office? But didn't go to Greenbrier this year. Decided to have joint practices with 2 teams rather than one, trying to up the ante when it comes to intensity. And I like kind of where Kevin's taking this thing right now. We'll see how it plays out. I don't think people think this team's going to win a lot of games this year, but I can tell you this. I think Kevin has changed, and I think Jeff used a better word, evolved. I don't know if it's because he wanted to evolve or because of necessity, because they only won 3 games last year.
We all evolve, either that or, you don't. And then when you don't, you're in trouble. You have to grow.
Do you like this? I don't know that he's changed drastically, but do we like this version of Kevin
Seems
Stefanski?
like the same guy to me.
And do you think Kevin has the pressure to win?
He's an NFL coach. There's always pressure.
Yeah, but is there a threshold? Is there a number? He's got to get to 4 wins, like Dan said. He just needs to show improvement. Maybe they only win 4 games, but he shows that this team is knocking on the door.
If this team looks really flat this year, or just has nothing going for it, I think they're all in trouble. If you play well and you don't win, I think they have a chance. Again, I think it would be a complete mulligan on the part of the entire organization if the team doesn't win football games is somewhere around 3, 4, 5 wins, and everybody's back. To me, that would, and maybe it's justified, but I would think that it's a mulligan to the entire organization that, okay, that set us back. We think we have the right people in place, and we're going to allow them to build this. But we took a big swing and a miss, according to your owner.
Yeah.
On a guy who's still on the team, which I'm sure that makes him feel really good.
I agree.
Not that matters, but whatever.
I agree with Dan. I just think he needs to show improvement. I do think they need to get to they've got to get to 5 or 6 wins. They have to. And the other part of it is I think you need to look at the other side of the schedule and see how the teams they play finish at the end of the year. And if you start looking at all the teams, if they're losing to playoff teams week in, week out, I think you can weigh that in if you think your team's getting better and you're on the verge of beating these playoff teams. And sometimes you got to lose to win down the road. And I'm not saying that that's the way, you always say it's hard to beat a team 3 times, right? Hard to beat a team. Why? Because, and I just had a conversation with somebody this morning, that maybe the team that beat you twice just kind of goes into it going, okay, we know how to beat these guys, we're going to beat them. And that team that's lost twice is saying, okay, this is what we have to do to get better, that they're constantly trying to improve, they're trying to, push themselves to get over the hump because they've got a natural hurdle in the way. I know if you can see some kind of improvement like that, then I think Kevin could be, Kevin's back for another year, but this is just going to be a weird season. I'm sorry, especially now that we walked into this with 4, 6 quarterbacks, no matter how you want to look at it.